Mind's Eye Visual Guitar Methods. Hey everybody, back again, recording this back to back with the last lesson. So hopefully you've watched that first. The 55 minutes, yes, but its complete explanation is tightened up as it can about the whole melodic cell concept and what this Holy Grail method that I've come up with actually is, and some of the promises that it can live up to. Hey, if it's the Holy Grail method, better do a lot of things, right? So check out the 55 minutes that I just set up as a prerequisite to this lesson for sure before. Well, if you don't watch it, here's a little quick overview. The best, like the quickest way to at least follow along with this lesson. If you don't know anything about this melodic cell, but definitely go back and watch the 55 minutes of this. It totally explains everything. But hey, we got a box of notes here. They're all over the place in your fretboard, but there are only 12 of them, and we are going to explore all 12 of them because they organize themselves really neatly into a certain nice even amount for major and even amount for minor, and then there's a couple of concepts for dominant, and then there's the concepts that will get us into very quickly a couple changes. We can shift into altered dominant, Lydian dominant, all kinds of whole tone, half whole tone. If you want to know all about that, also in that 55-minute lesson, explain all of that really well. But anyways, for today's lesson, all we're going to really need, everything we're going to relate to is in the key of E. We're going to be dealing with a lot of root movement and a lot of tonal gravity concepts. So our tonal gravity today for today's explanation is going to be E. And so it's going to be helpful with this method. Since we're soloing on guitar, we're going to need to know where some roots are of any time we're playing for whatever key we choose. Today we're choosing E, so we're going to want to know the B and E string. Where are those roots? And so here, our simplest ones to get, yes, it's the open E is one. But there's also, and we're going to be using E here. Let me just tighten that up because that'll just bug me. All right, so low E, obviously, that'll be there. But I got a keyboard here that'll probably blast your ears out. Careful if you're wearing headphones. We have our E at the 5th fret, B string, 12th fret, E string, obviously, and then back to the octave of the first note. So you can see there's one thing to take note of. There's closer, these are closer in real estate than the other E. So you can fit 2 cells in here, and anyways, so we've got these, this is the cell kind of concept. Like when I'm playing, like basically at first I needed, to kind of visualize this. Now it's just obvious to me. Connected into these 2 notes here in this square of a big melodic rectangle with our control notes inside, you have a diamond shape that links in, and it gives us access to our 7th note of our scale, which is, well, it's not the 7th note of our scale. It's kind of, that was a misspeak, but it's now, once we consider the orange note, we've got all 7 notes, and we pick 2 control notes. We've got our 7-note scale if we wanted that, but it's not actually any kind of thing that we're proposing with this method. That's your choice and your creativity that decides if you want to do all that. But anyways, when you want those notes, you need to know where they are, and this diamond shape targets that missing, which is basically like an away note. And I talk about real in depth how the melodic cells, what we're talking about here, the magic of this is making those voices, when you play, when you want to go away, you're going to, if you consider that note, make it special, you withhold it a lot, you give it to the audience when the time is right, it's way better. And it creates that interest that diminishes the noodling effect. So, and then there's the other, just using other cells as like a voice. So this is a voice. So anyways, that'll make this lesson too long. We did all that already in the 55 minutes lesson. Let's reward the people who did watch that and move on into the meat and potatoes. Only 1 page today. So let's explore all these 12 possible cells and see how they can be neatly organized so we can understand them all. Major 7 chords. Now, major 7 chords, when you play over a major 7 chord, you're going to kind of want to, you know, basically all that's going to work is a concept that includes or has the ability to get to a major third and a major 7. That flatted 7 is going to be something we're going to use for dominant chords and minor chords. So now here's the deal. When we basically, now it's all about root movement. There's basically 4 choices here. Let's get a quick overview of everything. We got 4 major choices. Check out real quick where the roots go. We'll talk about that. Now we have these in the middle. We have these 4 like outcast scales, but they're actually going to be very valuable when it comes to super tensions or things, all your altered dominant tricks to get to these trick sounds over 5 chords are all these 3 here. Or I'm sorry, not 5 chords. Well, the 5th chord of the scale, which is the dominant 7th chord. That's a better way to put it. Your dominant chords. It's all the magic of jazz is happening in these dominant chords. I remember hearing that a long time ago and not really kind of grasping it or believing it. I said, oh, that they play all those magic notes everywhere. It's not just dominant, but that's really where that real outside magic is happening. I just didn't know that at that moment the music had shifted to a dominant chord. Okay, so here we have one of these is a super special one that works with suspended, minor, and dominant real clean and easy. No, there's no super tension about it. All right, super tension just means like notes. If you were a rocker, you'd say those are all the wrong notes, dude. That's tension. But if you were a jazzer, you'd be like, wow, where'd you find all those notes, dude? That was super cool. Those notes. Anyway, so minor 7, hey, what do you know? Minor 7 has its own 4, and there's a similar version of root movement. It's just it's the ones that are totally opposite geometrically, mirror image from the major ones. Can you believe how this works? And all this geometry on your fretboard? So that being said, then now you can see how easy it is to make more sense as we go along. All right, so our very first one has the root where it should be. Just like major pentatonic, you have your roots. So, well, here's E is our tonal gravity. So if I want to play this melodic cell, I'm going to think about where my gravity is. My chord is going to be an E. It's going to be some kind of E major going on. And when I know this, well, I know a 5 is always above my root. And then a 3 is going to be on that side. It's 3-5, root 3-5. Like an arpeggio. Then you have a 5 and a 6. This is always a whole step, just a simple whole step. With a flat 5. All right, some old song there. Anyways, and you can see we got a happy sound. What's our avoid note, which would be that 2, but it's not really an avoid note. It's just a special consideration note. Still playing around that with the diamond that's available. I don't have a string, to complete the diamond there, but still know my orange note is right in there. Back to the regular melody. So there, I chose some character notes. So we got the 3, the 4, the raised 7. What did I get? By choosing the Aeolian path, I got major. Right? Now, what if I wanted Lydian? What's associated with Lydian? Oh, you say, some of you in the audience should be like, Mr. Cotter, Mr. Cotter. Oh, I'm old again, Mr. Cotter. Sharp 4. There's that slightly different flavor to that. You should really, and I think once a student knows that these intervals are there and they're actually playing them and hearing them at the same time, that's where the oh, okay, I know a song where that happens. I know a song that's doing that, and gee, it's a theme show. It's The Simpsons. All right, so that's a commonly associated one. So there's that loud. I should have warned you first. Sorry. That's got a different character now. I chose the flat 7 in there. So I'm going to be kind of suggesting now that my E is a dominant chord because I got a major third in there. Not a minor, so that wouldn't be a minor 7 chord. Hear that? I'm playing that little triad that makes this a dominant 7th chord. But see, that didn't sound good. I chose the regular 7. Oops, wrong. Right. Alright, so, cool. Train horn. Now, here's the cool thing. All of these have the possibility of all of those shapes. So if we could do Aeolian, we will get the major version, the relative major of Aeolian, which is Ionian. So if I choose this one back here that we would call Phrygian, this is all of the modes are here in this melodic cell. You can turn this into E Phrygian, E Lydian, E, all different keys now. These all come from different keys, but you could turn this into E Phrygian. I'm sorry. This is major, so these would all be those counterparts. You could turn this into E Mixolydian. You could turn this into E Ionian or E Lydian. So, if you have the now, what about that final shape we talked about that gets into melodic minor? So here, our melodic minor root is always going to be here. So we have our root. It's kind of like as if we were talking about this shape here, but we'll just stick with this one for the moment. If our root was here, we'd count root 1. Root is 1. So 2, 3, 4. Our root here is on the 4th position, 4th note of melodic minor. So that's melodic minor number 4. What is melodic minor number 4? That's commonly known as Lydian dominant. Why is it Lydian dominant? Because Lydian, right here, our sharp 4, we talked about that earlier. Oh yeah, it's got that Lydian note, the sharp 4. So it's kind of suggesting Lydian, but our choice for that melodic minor shape is the flat 7. So we've got the dominant there, which are normally with Lydian, you'd be from the major scale, you'd be having a chord with a raised 7. So here we've got a chord that must be outside the C major scale. How would you approach it? Well, you'd use Lydian dominant. Cool. So that means like you could have a dominant chord with some kind of sharp 4, which is also know your extension computation there. 2 is a 9, 4 is the 11, 6 is the 13. So if you had a sharp 11 in your chord, in your dominant chord, great choice here. So cool. Moving down, we've got a universal 1 is our next one. And this is a kind of cool one to kind of make your way to. You've got melodic minor number 1, if you were so inclined to just use melodic minor, but it's universal for major, minor, and dominant. How can it be major and minor? Well, look at our control choices are super important here. We've got the choice to do a flat 7, a flat 3rd and a flat 7. That's totally minor with all these standard notes in conjunction. Or I can turn this melodic cell into a major with a flatted 7, so that would be dominant, or a major 3rd and a raised 7. So this is a really, really powerful one because you've got control over major and minor and your control of your 7s. So that's a lot of chordal change power. So we have I did want to tell that guy I'll be out in about 1 second here. So we have I have a landlord probably wants me to get to work, and so we'll get started shortly. So I have the this here. So if I find my E, then the scale's going to be right here. Why don't we move this way up here? So our root is once again inside the melodic cell, so it's going to make some kind of sense. Hey, that's a cool one. So cool. I chose 3 voices there to make 3 statements happening over my tonal gravity. Whoops, that was minor. And then this. And we haven't suggested major or minor by staying in our melodic cell, which is kind of cool too. We've got a 6 or the 13, a root. Rokana, we've just really got all extensions. We've got the 9, the 11, and the 13. That's why that sounds orderly like that. Because you're going 13, 11, 9. 13, 11, 9. With a raised third. Sharp 2 somewhere in there. I don't know where that came from, but you could hear it. Anyways, so yeah, cool. That's where you're going to put your root. So, and notice then we've got simply what's happening is the root is on our major side. So we keep the root on the major side, choose the other possibility, and it's still going to have a major type of sound. And by the way, our far away note is a chord tone. So this kind of changes the dynamic of this avoid note. So also right here we might want to think. So there's me surrounding it. Let's hit it. That really sounds like a home note, a completion note. It could be an away note. There we're back in the cell, the statement cell. You can almost think of it like instead of melodic cell, like a statement cell. Now you change your statement up by adding in the strange days indeed. So yeah, there's that. You can put now then the root. There's 2 roots on the outside and 2 roots in the control box. Let's take a quick look at minor and see it's doing the exact opposite thing. There's 2 on the minor side. Basically, the only available choices there are at the bottom of the box. At the top of the box, this would be towards the ceiling. If you're standing up playing your guitar and not lying down in bed playing your guitar or hanging upside down from a jungle gym, right? Okay, and so you have 2 in the control box, just the same as major. It's just on the opposite side, clicking one of these boxes. Pretty cool, right? So going back to major then, as we get into our control box, we move pretty far away from our original inside choices. We start to make somewhat of an outside choice right in our melodic cell here. So this one has to be used with a little bit of sensibility. You're gaining that sharp 11. Do you want that sharp 11? If you're 2 things I think are going to kind of make this happen. Either that's it in the chord, definitely in the music you've created, there's a keyboard, there's a melody, something that's got that sharp 4 in it, clearly delineating that that's a piece of the music at the moment for the listener, then yeah, this is going to be a great plug-in in that regard. Or if the music is a little looser, say there's just it's more sparse, there's just a gravity note playing, the bass is staying on in the melody cell here, and then, or it's either not even suggested the 4, sharp 4, or it's but it's not even being, everything is sparse enough where you could include that as the soloist. That may be something useful too. Remember, this is a tool, so you can use it like a tool. You can improvise, you can use a vice grip like a vice grip, you can use a vice grip like a hammer when you need to. All right, don't ask me how I know that. So we've got that. How will it sound? How do we find it? Well, here's our root. Our root is on the bottom, so our root, we're going to use our E on the, we know our E is there, so we know our melodic cell is here. And that's kind of like, yeah, all right, that makes sense, because if I was playing E Lydian, I'd be... Right? So there you go. Cool. And then we made that choice to include the 5 and then the root. And, I put a black key here because, since you've got a 2, you're not really going to totally use the flat 2, and that would be kind of playing chromatically anyways. So that's why that kind of pretty much, if you choose this melodic cell, you're sort of pigeoning-hole, I think. You can try to use those other notes. But if you did use the 6 and the 6, let's see, we'll say this is our melodic minor root. So 1, 2, 3, our root, our tonal gravity is on the 3rd note of the melodic minor scale. So this is going to be melodic minor number 3, which is Lydian augmented. Why Lydian? Do we have a sharp 4 somewhere? Yeah, it's in our melody. And then augmented, do we have a sharp 5 somewhere? Yeah, if we chose the... that's why I left that one back at yellow, because I guess that's a possibility for the melodic minor scale. So if we had that flat 6 and the 6, you could just find another way to, I'm sure there's a musical theory named, so you eliminate the double intervals there, but it doesn't matter. You're just playing that shape, and that will get you where you need to go. So you can see you've got that sharpened 5 here, that might even actually make more sense that might be the key to making that make sense. Call that to make this a choice of 5s, and then it becomes much more sensible. Yes, sorry. So this is the way that this should be interpreted. My bad there. Good catch on you guys' part. I'm sure you were screaming at me. So the sharp 5 there, then to the 6, and we have an augmented note, a sharpened 5. Lydian augmented. Sharp 4, sharp 5. All right, cool. So, hey, and now if you find some jazz teaching that's like, well, what we're doing here is you got to get to Lydian augmented. Well, simple. All right, you know where your melodic cell is? We're in what? Wait. What melodic Lydian augmented? You mean G Lydian augmented? So I would find my G note and play. You mean that G Lydian augmented, or did you mean E Lydian augmented? Or did you mean B Lydian augmented? No, B flat Lydian augmented. So you can find that just by finding the root note. You know where all of that is. You know that you're playing a root, a sharp 4, or a sharp 11, with a sharp 5, a 6, or a 13, grade 7, root. Cool. And the 2. And the 3 is out there available. Pretty cool, fun stuff there. So now, also notice here, this root is, if you were to consider in your mind's eye the melodic minor shape system here in our cell, the root here is making it so since we wouldn't play that note, because we've got these other notes surrounding the root, so we're not going chromatic, then we can't make anything melodic minor. So this is exempt from melodic minor. And being exempt from melodic minor, this is almost a direct plug-in for the Ionian and Lydian, or the 1 and 4 chord. So that being said, that's the one that down here that sounded cool earlier. Cell. And they sound good together because they both can do the same thing. You got real similar intervals, really. You got the 3-5 6 in root. Here you've got the 7, the 2 cool haunting notes around the root, the 3 and the 5, and then the choice of 4. So yeah, I'm flattening that 5 or playing that sharp 4. Sounds a little rough, but would be a direct plug-in there. So, all right. So, and so you could also almost consider like this one, like your first choice for your most inside melodic cell. Then you get your secondary, and then you get you a little farther away, but still pretty hip and cool inside, and then you get totally farther away with your Lydian vibe here. All right, moving on. So. And, Lydian augmented. Just the word augmented should let you know, like, hey, this is going to be something kind of funky available with this one. This is going to be my, my funkiest kind of way to be outside over major 7. So, and you'll see how, like, the jazz guys, they superimpose all of this stuff, or regardless. If you're fast, I think this, you can make this stuff work, and I guess knowing your situations. Another way to look at this would be, like, some of the licks that you couldn't explain, like, boy, that was really cool, but where did they come up with that over such and such chord? And then someone else is like, well, that's the Lydian augmented scale, and that's true, but you see how they might have taken a melodic cell and been just using the hot notes within a cell there. But it can be background. You can get to the whole foundation of the explanation by going to a scale, and that's why a lot of guitarists get caught up, I think, in this scale chord relationship. It must be a scale, and then you're noodling because all you know is this huge scale, and you don't see the way to speak with the notes of the scale over the chord, and then everyone thinks like, wow, that's like black magic art. No one can explain it, and then no, just break it down into cells and see what they are. There's only a certain amount of notes, and you can play them in combinations over your chords. So, super tensions and specific uses are the next group of 4s. Remember, 4, 8, 12. So 3 groups here. So most people can probably toss these away. We talked about it in the previous lesson that I just uploaded, or a little bit earlier. If you got your root outside of the system, outside of the cell, outside of the control box within the cell, and then the cell membrane here, that's the guts of the cell and the membrane, right? If you're outside, you're in one of the black key areas. Where are the black keys? It's totally in the lesson I just uploaded. That's why you're going to watch the 55 minutes of that, because the black keys are super simple to understand. And then you have control of all 12 notes for your 6-note scales, 7-note scales, and 8-note scales. All right, so this one here is going to be in between the same root, which octave repeats like that. Cool. Okay. This is, once again, sitting outside the root. So if our E is our root, then... Ooh, pretty. They sound like half good because look at this root is, if you play this... You've got a makings of a major 7 chord. You've got the important notes, the major 7 and the major 3rd. But you've got the something that would be like, well, totally like Phrygian or something, or even Locrian. So you got Locrian and major mixed together. It's a real hard sell. However, where are these used? These are big time used in jazz. If you want quick ways to get like a sprinkle of notes from the big scales that they talk about, like, well, this comes from altered dominant Dominican minor, and this is the Slombonian, Crazylonian. No, okay, I'm being a little silly there. It's not that difficult to. I shouldn't be poking fun of it, but you can get bits of these super Locrian or whatever the case may be by utilizing these cells here. As a matter of fact, should have looked at a note before this. But anyways, we're going to get a lot of mileage out of what we learn here. So anyways, just remember these are there. But the biggest takeaway from these outside the root cells are that, and there's 4 of them. One of them is a direct plug-in for dominant, but it's all the predictable notes. So you might want to use one of these super tensions. Are going to get you like those real sweet notes, but you're just going to have to kind of know what you're doing. Like, let's try this one, for example. Hold on, let me try this real quick. So here we have a G7. There's no extensions on it, so what do we got here? A flat 2. Let's put a sharp 4 in there. Where would that be? That would be like. Can we raise that up? We'll put that up there, so it could be like this. That would sound better on a piano. A piano player could really make that rock. So let's say a piano player is doing that. We're just going to play the simple chord. Boy, we got some oddballs there, but flat 2. But we got the 3rd. We got that sharp 11. We got that 13 in there. I don't know. Make of it what you will, but when we got this one here, I don't know about that one. It's got the 3rd once again, but it's got that major 7, so we don't know about it. Anyways, but it's all about. I could play those because I knew where the root was. Anyways, we got this one great for suspended, minor, or dominant. So we could have, like, for this one, we could have, here's our G again. So we're going to mount it one whole step down from there. It's almost like D minor pentatonic. But we're going to play that with a G root. And not an A root like I played. That's just like if that G was suspended. Let's make it minor. Let's make it major. So cool, you can have little statements in there. By choosing different notes and playing them, you know, half and half, or leaving out like the flat 7, or including the flat 7, leaving out the 2. Alright, cool. Yeah, and then, you know, so you got control of the thirds, so that's a pretty cool one. And then control the sixes, so you got some kind of, you can kind of make it Aeolian with a flat 6, Dorian with a raised 6, or the same corresponding Phrygian, or, well, or raised 6, so, well, Lydian. Okay, anyways, no, raised 6 is going to be for major. Dorian and Lydian. Yeah. Anyways, but that would, you would have to, your root would change then, so never mind. This is, well, no, the third would change, but anyways, I'm mumbling here and I need to get on with the lesson. So anyway, so yeah, conclude your, you know, your third and your flat 6, that's going to be, in your melodic minor. That's where the hang up was. That's why I couldn't figure out what the hell what it was. Um, so that is going to get you. Since we have a flat 7, you're only in dominant. You're only in like a Mixolydian kind of mode. So the 6 is just going to be the add-on note to create Mixolydian. The this choice here is going to give you that sequence or that geometric shape that tells us we're in the melodic minor. It's melodic minor number 6. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is our root. So I think I've got that. Yeah, I must have that wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got this. We should have this as melodic minor. Yeah, because 6 is down below here is a weird one. So this is melodic minor number 5. And melodic minor number 5 has a name. I don't know what it is right now, so we're just not going to worry about it. And then, but you do want to play this. This is some kind of like give you some kind of altered quality, and you can use it from dominant to a minor resolution. It can serve you well. For me, I typically use a let's say diminished arpeggio. I'll usually use that, but to have a quicker way. But if you want a more foundational way to think about everything, this is where all that could be coming from. But it'll work for suspended minor, and it's just a really cool universal scale. On to our last 4 here, minor. As we drag the lesson time out here, crazy. So this is your standard in minor. You put the root for the minor, like a minor pentatonic, and you get your standard minor. You'll get all your minor modes with the standard shapes. This shape for Aeolian will give you Aeolian. The shape for Dorian will give you Dorian. And the shape that we call Phrygian will get you Phrygian. This is like the basic of it all. Really cool, but it may be the one that you're sort of bored of playing in. So you can switch it down, get an alternate voice. You can turn this into a quick vocalization. That's about all the pentatonic people want to hear nowadays. So then, still pentatonic in our melodic cell here, but we've chosen a different voice here. We've got the flat 7 as our go-to, which is really a chord tone. It's just the farthest away chord tone. It's going to need some characters there, so why don't we add in a regular 2. Use the Dorian shape and add in that regular 5. For our smoothest sound, let's add in that flat 5. So this would be like melodic minor number 6. Great for use over a minor 7 flat 5. You can also, I guess they call this Locrian 2. Why? It's kind of like playing a Locrian scale with that 4 flat 5 flat 6 flat 7. But if you use the from melodic minor, you'd have that raised 2 in there. So you're unlike the Locrian there in that regard. So that's why it's like Locrian 2, right? So if you play regular Locrian, you're back into one of the shapes that correspond with our major scale. And Locrian is one of our modes of the major scale. And the root is over the right root for Locrian in the major scale. Root. So anyways, if you look at from my other lessons, the square that makes up your major scale, the navigational thing from your major scale, that's the explanation there. Anyways, some people will click and some people, slide off the deep end there. For a minor chord here, you'd want an 11 in the chord, or a flat 13 in the chord, because you have that flat 6. That'll correspond nicely. And you can use this as melodic number 6. Wherever this, and one of your lessons suggests, that's the scale this came from. That's how you can get there quickly. Mount your root, play the shape. All right, mount your root, play the shape for this one. Here, minor 7 really drifts off. These ones you get kind of a Locrian Phrygian sound. Your root is in that one position that makes it not available for melodic minor, so no big deal there. This one B, your minor 7 chord has a flat 9 and the raised 11, or sorry, a regular 11 and a flat 13. Do you have that particular chord? This is going to do just fine. Adding in the character notes, you can quickly get to a Locrian sound. Are you going to use that? I don't know. Or a Phrygian sound, maybe a little closer to what you might be playing in some of the music you create or play along with. And you get the flat third as the character note. Okay, cool. And then you got the, which is kind of cool because it's like a direct plug-in note there, but I think this is going to be a pretty hard sell for any, standard. But like I said, the more open the music is, you can add this in as a flavor. Or if the music is very specific, then you're going to want to plug in the specific melodic cell that makes sense. If your minor 7 chord has a regular 9, this might not be the rub you want, unless you want to have that flat 9 over the regular 9 for some kind of dark moment in your solo or something. Then that's how you can get around to including that. There's regular E minor. So, you can see that. Okay, the flat 2. That flat 6 is going to work well with a 5. But then we're just playing what we know is regular Phrygian. So some of these will lead you back to the same old territory. But then you could get a flat 5 in there and I don't know, just do some weird stuff. But half diminished Locrian, I believe, is available right here. Totally Locrian, but also which is the half diminished scale. So maybe you would want to use one of these concepts. You can also get the altered scale. So this is actually in its melodic minor form going to be a very possible shape for you to play over your altered chord. So I don't know why it took me so long to spit that out, but anyway, so this is where you're really, this one is going to really be a jazz powerhouse here. You're going to see this a lot come up if you're in jazz lessons. And you might see it, described as a big scale, but you can just think of it as a little way to get to it from a little melodic cell. That'll give you a little cool choice of notes to play over it. So here's a melodic cell. I know my note is here, so my cell is going to be here. So it's an unusual character of notes, but it might have that sound you're looking for. Now, the cool thing is, if you want to change this up, I'm going to go to my diamond. Hold on. There's that flatted 6. But if I change that to the black keys that surround that 6, I can instantly get into the half-whole concept, which is also a thing that jazzers will put over these altered 7 chords, especially when you see these alterations down below with a 7 with a flat 9. So, sorry, something like that. sharp 9, the Jimi Hendrix, I guess that is. And then with a flat 5. And a sharp 5. That's not probably not really the way a cool guitarist would finger that. A hip jazz guitarist and piano makes these really. You can turn these voicings into really beautiful soundscapes, and then these, you listen how these plug in over that. Then you get that really cool sound. It won't happen without the proper background happening, so that's why you might hear these and go, I don't know, I don't think I'd ever use that as a beginner. And yeah, until you get into, I'm trying to, kind of bring people along on my journey where like I said, I'm getting that organic understanding, like a ground zero understanding of these, how to play over chord concepts, so that when I hear the jazz that I want to start learning and I get into the music and the songs that actually make it the easy way to learn it, then everything has got a lot more sensible background information to fall back on and to grasp onto really quick and really make all the connections. So you've got all 12 melodic cells understood. Maybe take a second to take your graph paper, copy this page down, pause it here, and make a deposit down below where the link has a way to bring a donation to this channel, because hopefully you're like, wow, this is going to lead me to so many different new ideas. I don't know if anybody, with this kind of jazz teaching has ever really laid it out visually and understandably for me before. Let me give this guy $1, right? So, I don't know, maybe you think about that, maybe you're like, hey, I should support, because, people that do this stuff usually get supported. But we don't do a Patreon, although we're trying to get that hooked up. We don't do any of that just yet. I don't know if there's any advertisements showing on this just yet. If there is, I'm sorry. But I can keep those advertisements away if I could actually turn this into some kind of profitable thing. This doesn't make me zero money especially it's negative, because I have to pay for subscriptions to keep some of the programs running. So if you could find it in your heart to make a sweet donation, that's down below in the link for, I don't know, whatever, buy me a coffee or something. And then if you don't want to do all that, because, hey, I can't subscribe to anybody right now, and you probably can't either. So if you can't, hey, it's cool. We totally understand. Why not buy some merch at the store? But if you can't do that, like and subscribe is all we ask. Thank you for watching. Leave comments in below. What did you think about this, and especially combined with the other lesson? And if something didn't make sense, maybe before you ask, you might have to invest your 55 minutes into the previous lesson to check all that out. Thank you for watching today. I appreciate all the attention that you guys give the channel with these super long lessons and long explanations, trying to make it so it's at least going the long way, so it's at least my lessons are something somebody can actually take something from. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next Mind's Eye Visual Guitar Methods Journey Thingamajig.